Subscribe to the fl0m Clips and Highlights channel. Thank you very much. We're 2,000 subscribers in like a day. Not even, but like it's actually flying. So thank you. Spinx is 24, huh? I think that's the most fun part of these. Just like seeing people's age and just it makes me feel incredibly old all the time. Anyway, first place Cologne, second at Pro League Dallas, third at the major spring, fall, and world final. Damn, they were third place merchants at Blast, huh? Should have been higher, no? Vitality had a weird year because it felt, remember this Dallas, I mean, first off, let me just say, as somebody that was there, holy cinema, watching them lose to G2 and that plot armor was crazy. But also, disregarding my NA fanboy for a second, Vitality should have won that final. And honestly, I would say the same for Pro League with Mouse. They should have 3 first places at least this year. And I think Spinx was incredibly talented in 2023. I think 2024, I can say last year now. I feel that he really lost like impact, at least watching his games or watching the Vitality games. He got good numbers but I really feel like I didn't see his presence in the server nearly as much as I did the year previously for Vitality. And I'm not going to look into I'm not going to go too far down the rabbit hole of stats, because especially as we get closer to the very top, until we're talking Donk, Modesty, ZywOo, and even then, you know, these stats are all going to be somewhat comparable. But when I think of Vitality's games and what I think of Vitality's issues were, it's not to put all the blame on Spinx, but I think a lot of it actually comes down to him for a couple reasons, and let me explain. One, their one tournament win right here, if you watch the games, and I simped hard for him and I will continue to simp hard for him, the X factor, the defining factor of Cologne was fucking Apex. Like, if you watch those games, you watch the finals, you see what Apex is doing. He was the game changer for them, especially later into the tournament. It was Apex. It wasn't Spinx. He was not that guy. Spinx is supposed to be that guy. And then if you think about like why they struggled, I think the thing that really, they have too many players. Like, okay, ZywOo is a superstar and he is basically the Terminator and he doesn't make many mistakes. His only flaw, if you had to pick a flaw for ZywOo, he does not try, and it's what you always hear people critique him for. He does not go out of his way to exit his comfort zone to try to will the game. ZywOo has like he's like the human Counter-Strike calculator. He knows all the outcomes and he's min-maxed it to the point where he knows his playstyle, what he can and can't do, and he's gonna always basically make the best decision possible for himself and to get his team success. But he also won't like make a bad decision where he knows that he won't make a bad decision, but it's a flaw in a way. Like, sometimes there are games where if you just kind of, because Spinx goes missing, because fl0m goes missing, it becomes like if he doesn't go and step out of his comfort zone to go try to will the game, they're just gonna lose, and it feels like he just kind of watches the game wash away from Vitality. And now to bring this back to Spinx, I think that's where Vitality looks so much better. Is I think Spinx was kind of that guy for a little bit, where he would go for risks. He would go for like individual moments and plays and like be that X factor, that wild card in the middle of the round. And I think he started, I don't know, this is purely maybe made up in my head, but I feel like he does less of that in the last year. And I think Vitality really suffered because of it. And that's why I want to talk about Cologne, is because when I think about what Vitality did to win Cologne, it was, well, I watched Apex do some crazy, stupid things that ended up working out and kind of getting his team over, where the other times it looks like they were just kind of missing that in the finals. He's still really good. Like, don't get me wrong. It just felt like without fl0m's having some monster games or Apex having some monster games, and I don't mean just like stats wise, I mean like key influential moments in rounds and swing rounds and big time matches, it felt like ZywOo and Spinx were just kind of like doing what they always do, which they get, but it wasn't enough in important moments. I think this is a pretty decent placing for Spinx. I'm not going to get into should he have been higher or lower. I think he should have been lower than 2023, which he is. I still think he's insanely good though. It's just Maybe because he was unhappy in the team, which is why he's on the way out. Maybe he was playing less for the team and more for to find his own individual impact. I'm just guessing here. I'm just maybe because it just felt like he wasn't going for it as hard. He was still fragging really hard, but he wasn't being the guy when they kind of needed him to, which he normally didn't seem like he was afraid to do whatsoever. So anyway, subscribe to the fl0m Clips and Highlights channel. You guys are absolutely beautiful.